Hi, it's Natasha.
And Khalil.
And we are the co-hosts of
WokeNFree.
Thank you for tuning in to our 170th episode of WokeNFree. Can you believe it, Khalil? 170.
That's a good number in my heart.
You know, that feels good to me as well. And, if you've been tuning in every week for WokeNFree Wednesday, you know that WokeNFree is all about being real and honest with each other and you. We talk about everything and anything important to us, you, the world, and nothing is off the table. This week, we are discussing how has COVID-19 impacted the Native American community. But before we dive deep into that subject, there is your special part of the day. You look forward to this, right?
I guess so, if you say that.
Well, when are you not enjoying my diatribes?
Well, yeah, you're asking if I'm looking forward to it. That's something different.
Ouch.
That doesn't mean I don't enjoy it.
Nice.
But now you say I
enjoy something that you don't look forward to.
Oh, so you look forward to everything you enjoy? Sometimes you just don't know it.
That's like an episode. I can't even unpack that right now.
Yeah, just because you don't have to look forward to something to then go ahead and enjoy it.
That just sounds like a statement by someone who's like low-key depressed.
Oh, I don't think so. It's like if you were just surprised, like if you thought there was an event occurring.
But if you enjoy it and you know it's coming, then wouldn't you look forward to it?
But if the event changes every time, you don't really know what to expect. There's different ways you can peel a banana.
Again, another episode. Before we go down another yellow brick road here with this, let's get to your non-enjoying...
No, I didn't say that. Remember, I don't look forward to it, but I enjoy it.
Your non-anticipatory enjoyable moment. Phenomenal. So for you guys who are not only listening to this, shaking your head saying, say what? But make sure that in addition to listening to this episode, you have downloaded the episode on WokeNFree.com through the Podbean app so that you can be our number one fan. Because by doing that, by downloading the episode, it allows you to be able to join the conversation. You can put things in the comments. You can tell us whether this is your favorite segment of the day, which you actually look forward to and enjoy, or if you're falling in line with my sweet dear husband here and try to play his wife.
Not on purpose.
Wowzers. Nice. So there's that. Now, of course, if you're listening to the show, but you're like, Tosh, Khalil, we can't download another app. It can't be done. A little bit of tears, but that's okay. Just make sure that you're subscribed to the show on whatever platform you're catching this on. So whether that's iTunes, we get a lot of love on iTunes. So yay, iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Play, our YouTube channel, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Spotify. We're on 30 plus platforms. So just pick your platform of choice. If you go to WokeNFree.com and click on the listen tab, you'll be able to identify which platform you want to use and take it from there. Now, sharing is caring, absent racism, bigotry, any type of discrimination. But it is good when you share an episode, especially with friends and family. Why do you want to do that? Because if you're woken free, why don't you want your friends and family to be woken free? Hello. Spread the love, guys. So share this episode out with those that you love and care about deeply. Next, when it comes to social media, you can easily connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. Yes, TikTok. And Pinterest at WokeNFree. Fun content to be had on all of those platforms. So make sure you're following us there. And then, of course, lastly, if you haven't reviewed the show, which would be really great because it gives us more insight as to how you feel about the show, please take the time. What type of time? We're talking 90 seconds, guys. The same amount of time you can cook white rice or brown rice in your microwave. 90 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah. So definitely do it on the platforms you're catching this on that allow you to do that. And again, go to WokeNFree.com, go on the listen tab, and then pick your platforms where you're going to support us at, and then hopefully review us there as well. Scene end.
So that was good, right?
I mean, you kind of hurt my heart a little bit, so I had to self-motivate, but I think it was good.
Well, at least the intention was not to hurt your heart. My intention
said
was not
by the
that.
Best killer in the world.
Intention is everything.
Intention
all I want
is
to say.
Everything. Okay.
That's all I want to let you know.
Hannibal Lecter.
Okay, if you feel that way. But you know what we got to do. We got to share a little bit about us before we dive into the topic for the episode. Mm-hmm. Last week we shared, would you rather own your own sports team on a losing streak or own a successful chain of restaurants? This week we're asking, would you rather go to an indoor concert or outdoor concert?
Wowzers. really diving for deep stuff here, huh?
Yeah. You know, you were thinking what people would think.
Waste of time.
People were very interested in this, I think.
Okay, well, for those of you who do not know me, hello, my name is Natasha Nurse, and I don't like the cold. I despise it, actually. Absent any type of fun activity that you can do in the cold, like snowboarding or skiing, those are moments that I will entertain. But outside of that, I find the cold air to be very unsafe and like emotionally destructive to me. So I would probably do indoor concert, but given that we're living through a global pandemic and it's probably easier to spread the virus indoors because you're in closer proximity and the droplets that people are spreading because they're not wearing their masks is going to get closer to you if you are indoors than you are outdoors. So for today's times, I would have to say, I guess, an outdoor concert, but my heart hurts with that answer because it's currently a little bit colder than I would like it to be in Arizona.
All right. So that's what points out that this question is a very timely question because of the pandemic that we're in. So now you have to choose between what you like and what's good for your health.
Yeah.
But the problem with you saying the outdoor concerts are cold, that's not true because you can go to places where the temperature is great all year round.
That's true, but currently in Arizona, it's a little bit colder than I'd like it to be for me to go to an outdoor concert.
If you do one at night here, you probably need a hoodie. If you would need a
full-on
But if you do it during the day, you'd be during
the day, it's totally fine, actually.
It's just at night, it could drop pretty cold. Yeah. Not that cold. It's still colder in New York.
It's still colder in other parts of the country, but it's too cold for my taste.
The Midwest will be cold, but
anything less than 80 degrees is disgusting to me.
I judge going to the outdoor concert better just in general because I think about it of the fresh breeze that you get compared to indoor concert. You just
stuffy.
Sometimes it's like steamy and it's stuffy. It doesn't feel as great. But when you're outdoors, it's if you sweat, you're still a little bit cooler than even indoors. I don't know. They can't get it right indoors to get it like feeling fresh and nice. So I would do outdoor because of that. But also it's a lot easier to social distance outside from other people. Yeah. So that's the good thing about the outdoor concerts. Compared to indoor, you have usually a very limited amount of space. So now, I have to go with the outdoor concert, but I would have went with it before, even in the pandemic. Even if there wasn't a pandemic, I would have still chosen outdoor. Now, we were talking about the pandemic here, right? And yep. We were just talking about the pandemic in terms of concert goers. But what about people that are part of communities that we don't discuss all the time? What about the Native American community? How has COVID-19 impacted this group that we don't discuss much?
You're really lining up your career as a TV host who specializes in transitions, eh?
Is that what that was? Was that a transition, or is that?
I think that was your attempt to transition.
I didn't even know I was attempting that. I just saw that.
I could hear it in your voice, the pensiveness.
All right, that was the issue at hand. Okay, I'll look at stepping my game up.
Always. Well, to answer your question, my dear, there are several resources that speak to kind of some of the things that I thought were really interesting. And guys, if you're new to WokeNFree or if you're longtime fans, you all know that for every episode we put out that has resources that we refer to, you definitely can find the links in the episode notes at WokeNFree.com. So make sure you definitely catch that wherever you're catching this on. Just come to the website so that you can see that in addition to other goodies like our book that's out, amongst other things, guys. But to answer the question that Khalil has posed quite so eloquently, first I want to speak to what Berkeley Library has shared. So they had the following quote, which I thought was really interesting to say or to share. So when talking about COVID-19, it's important to acknowledge the impact of historical trauma on the health of our communities. Many indigenous people have underlying health conditions and compromised immune systems. Research demonstrates the serious impacts that historical trauma, colonization, and oppression have on immune system health. On top of this, the federal government has failed to meet its obligation to provide adequate healthcare services for Native nations. As we think about precautions to help prevent the spread of COVID-19, we must acknowledge that individual communities experience this threat differently based on their current realities. So that was shared by Native Governance Center, again, on the Berkeley Library's website, which I thought was just a good kind of primer for just talking about what's going on with our Native communities and just like the level that this was a compromise. These are compromised communities already before COVID-19 hit, as you know, that is similar to other communities in this country. And so if you think about just the devastation that has happened and will continue to happen, it's a nightmare. And so to add to that, there was a U.S. news article that was dated back in October that shared the following. Experts acknowledge that the situation is dire. It's impossible to know the COVID-19's true toll on the Native American community. Coronavirus data by race and ethnicity is notably incomplete, according to the experts shared in this U.S. news article. They go on to say the following, though. Coronavirus cases rates among American Indians and Alaska Natives were higher than among whites in 23 states. The case rate was more than 4 times higher in 5 of those states: New Mexico, Montana, Mississippi, Oregon, and Arizona. And in New Mexico, where part of the hard-hit Navajo Nation is located, there were 3,624 cases per 100,000 American Indian/Alaska Natives, more than 15 times as high as the rate of 234 per 100,000 whites. Similarly, coronavirus death rates were higher among American Indians and Alaska Natives in 15 states. So to summarize what this article is suggesting is that the rate of not only contraction but also death seems to be quite high, and I think it seems like the word dire, it seems too insignificant, to be honest. It seems like this is I don't know what's a word worse than dire. Like it's a travesty. Like I don't even know what to say. It sounds like these nations, these people are not being adequately cared for, and their lives and their culture, right, are at risk, because especially if what's true, what we know about the virus is that it really attacks the older generation, then if the older people in these communities are at risk, then that's a loss of culture, right? Yeah. Because older people carry the wisdom and the culture. And, you know, these are communities that are already like kind of decimated, and now they're losing culture and like family members. I mean, it's just like, what else could happen? Like, this is awful.
I would just hope that they're archiving all the things they do in video footage and tapes and books and all those type of things.
I don't know.
That way you could just look at it for future generations.
I think the aftermath of this is going to be really harsh to look back and understand. And even them saying that, like, it's not clear how it's hitting different communities by race is like, well, why isn't it? Because every time I've gone to a hospital, you can't be seen unless you
But you can
fill out those forms, and you select your race.
You don't have
stuff.
to. You could choose not to answer, and there's people that will do that.
And I guess that works to not be able to. Then it affords us the opportunity to be like, oh, we didn't know, right? Yeah. And so I don't know. We as a
but even from the known information, so that you reported the known information, and even with the known one, it's still a problem. So imagine if we got even the unknown reported, then it would just go up. It wouldn't go down. It wouldn't. Yeah. That's not the way it
just seems problematic, though, because it's like we need to have a clear understanding of which communities are being hit hardest by not only this virus, but whatever kind of, nightmares that are happening in this country and in this world. And I don't know, I'm just like devastated, to be honest.
Well, I have more kind of bad statistics to tell just from the CDC's website. And they did report on other races, but right now we're just focusing on the Native Americans that they reported versus whites. So what they found was, just in the cases in general, is that Natives have 2.8 times more cases. They have 5.3 times more hospitalizations, and they have 1.4 times more deaths. And this is all compared to whites.
Americans, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they also found that although non-Hispanic American Indian and Alaska Native persons account for 0.7% of the U.S. population, a recent analysis reported that 1.3% of coronavirus disease 2019 or COVID-19 cases reported to CDC with known race and ethnicity were among those American Indians and That's American crazy. Natives.
They don't even make up 1% of the population here, but they make up over 1% of all the cases reported. That's how you know a community is more at risk here. And it's like, when in this whole season of reporting have we heard that this has been so dire to, I mean, I think we hear it a little bit more in Arizona, but that's because because they're more dying here because we're one of the top 5 states that I mentioned. But if we were saying New York, do you think they are even hearing about natives like and the indigenous people? I mean,
no, they're not. That wasn't.
This is crazy.
That's not being mentioned on a global, like even on kind of like global news or even just U.S. news. They're not making those charts of like U.S. news. They're making the charts for Arizona news and specific state news, but they're not making it on that, national level.
Yeah.
Why don't we actually hear more about the impact of the pandemic on the native communities across the U.S.?
In my opinion, I think it comes down to the following things. I think, to speak to some of the article information I shared earlier, just not enough data, right? Like you're saying, reporting self-identification of race is a voluntary, I guess, identification. And if people don't want to do that, then it gives permission for medical authorities to not be able to have that collected factual information or, stated factual information around who they're treating and what the racial breakdown of those people are. And, now seeing kind of the impact, it kind of pisses me off because it's like, I'd rather know. Like, I know you don't want to force people into self-identifying race because that's also like a form of marginalization as well. But I also want to know the true impact that's happening to people of color and all people in this country. So like, I don't know. We're going to have to come to terms with that and figure that out. But there's that. Another thing is just the lack of prioritization of Black and brown lives in our healthcare. This, again, to speak to what was said in the Berkeley Library's article, was that this is like for indigenous people, they were already compromised, systemic issues that have happened to that community. And then here comes COVID-19. So it's like a nightmare upon a nightmare. And it's like, oh, and we already never hear, I mean, prior to moving to Arizona from New York, I don't think I've even heard about natives in the news in New York. Like, do you remember? Like, I really don't recall.
Yeah, I did. It was when they had a certain, one of their celebrations, that was mentioned. But it was only made, but it was like, that was maybe twice over a 8-year period that I heard them brought up for that celebration. I don't remember what the celebration was, but it was for one of their traditions. I did actually hear it brought up.
But yeah, generally speaking, I would say the only time I ever heard about anything natives is like when we talked about Thanksgiving in school, which was, definitely falsehoods that were shared and
I don't know
definitely not truthful information that was distilled in the classroom. And then, you go to college and then nothing. And then beyond that, then life. And so unless you take it upon yourself to figure out how to be a culturally sensitive and empathetic person, you're not going to know anything about these communities. It's as if they don't exist, which is a tragedy in and of itself because they're vibrant communities that we should respect and adore and learn more about and find ways to be allies, because as a person of color, I need to also be an ally for other people of color as well. So, it's just kind of depressing. And then also it seems like maybe with media, because there isn't such a great push to talk about all communities or talk about all issues, that it seems like, and it just seems like it. So maybe it's not the case, but it seems like people seem comfortable with like not being aware of what's going on, because it's kind of like, if it doesn't impact you, if you don't look like that person and that's not your narrative, then like, who cares? And so this kind of ongoing lack of empathy it allows for things to go unnoticed and unseen. And I don't think people are too up in arms about it. Like, it just is
like... I think they're doing it as a coping mechanism. It's like there's something bad going on, but if we act like we don't know about it, then it's okay.
And also, why is it bad? Because it doesn't affect me, right? See, people are very self-interested.
Oh, it's just not affecting me, so why do I need to care about it?
If I'm not a native, why do I care about the native community?
Right,
and that type of approach, which is...
So it's like that, all right.
Devastation, because they're Americans. They were America before America was America. So, this lack of ongoing just respect for this community is like a slap in the face every single day. And I think that, we should be ashamed of ourselves as a nation, that we're not taking care of these communities and making sure that they get the same medical care and treatment like any other human person deserves, because what happens to any of us is a human rights issue, right? And like we talked about before, if we can get past race and color and we can see human rights violations, we can just address the human right violation and not get stuck up on color or national origin and all of that stuff. But that's my
all right
standpoint. What are your thoughts?
You're now listening to WokeNFree.
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 WokeNFree!
A podcast about keeping it real and honest.
Yeah, I mean, you covered good ones if I was to think of off the top of my head, but there was two others that came up and I didn't even think about it like that, so I thought this is good to add, and it's brought up from the Science Mag article that I found. And what they mentioned is privacy concerns of the tribes, actually. So it seems that tribes actually they don't want to put that information out of what's happening. That's kind of like, we're us. We don't want to bring outsiders
that makes sense.
Let them know what's going on in our community.
Going on makes sense.
Because they think that could be used against them.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So they're just like, why should I even trust these people with this information? So that's one of the factors. And a second is, we kind of talked about it a little bit, but it's that there's actually data inconsistency among tribes. So
that's true.
You can, the different sources will collect data from the same tribe and get different information. So there's like an issue with the data collection and how factual it is. So and so that being said, technically news sources, they're supposed to get information that's fact checked and all that stuff. So maybe that's having an impact on the reporting of it. They're like, we're not going to report the data because the data is not even showing consistency that we like. But we know that the news does fake news. So
gotcha.
I mean, technically they should at least mention that there's a problem, even though the numbers might not be up to snuff. But I think that's part of the issue as well. Interesting.
And then actually to add to that, is there even a public media outlet that is prioritizing the Native narrative? Can you name a platform that's all they do is speak on Native issues, or at least incorporate Native issues into the other public forum that they have, and that it's a public forum, the same way you would know about BET or MTV? Do we have something for that, on that level?
No.
Yeah, and so that's a major issue too.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, when it comes to kind of being an average person and you're listening to this episode and you're up in arms and you're like, this is nonsense, I want to do something about this, how can the average person help with what's going on?
I found a Mashable article that provided a couple of different ways you can help with the situation. The first one is this organization called Bluff Area Mutual Aid, and they provide aid and facilitate monetary donations to the Utah Navajo Health System and the Navajo Nation Department of Health. You can visit their GoFundMe page or reach out to them to donate PPE as well. Then you can also donate to the Navajo and Hopi families COVID-19 relief fund. They also launched a GoFundMe campaign, and that one actually went viral, and it's raised millions so far.
Oh,
I never heard about it, but it went viral. And then there's actually an official fundraising, and that's from the Navajo Nation COVID-19 relief fund. So they have an actual official page, and this is run by the Navajo Nation. So you can go there too. And there's also some more donation centers that you can, that you can donate to or provide PPE for. So those are the couple ways I saw. But one thing I wanted to mention that was interesting was with the one that went viral, the Navajo Hopi families. So during the Irish, that famine that they had, they actually donated money to Ireland. And I think that's during that famine, the Navajo Nation, they donated money to the people in Ireland because they knew they were hungry. And they're like, hey, we want you to get some food.
Human rights violations.
So look, they actually did that. And now it came back, and I think they donated, that was decades ago, but they donated $136. But now, like I said, their fund raised millions of dollars. That's incredible. Think about that. I mean, they gave them that amount of money, years ago, but now they're getting millions back. So
that's great.
It kind of shows you how paying it forward works. Like it comes back to
you should always give
you.
and help others because we're human beings and that's what being human is about. It's about helping and loving on each other regardless of whether you look like that person that you happen to help. So good for them. Yeah,
I thought that was really interesting.
Okay, to name a couple of other places, because guys, if you want to help, you do not have to sit there and say, I don't know. There are plenty of places that you can go to help. Now, one is the PWNA. They are responding daily to high volume of requests from reservation partners who are requesting food, water, toilet paper, sanitizer, and other essentials to weather the coronavirus pandemic. And they, they could use your help. Essentially, you'll be able to find their link on our website at WokeNFree.com. Another place that you can reach out to is First Nations Development Institute. They respond to American Indian, Alaska Native, and Native Hawaiian community emergency needs related to COVID-19 pandemic to minimize the risk of Native communities becoming collateral damage. And you can donate to them by finding the link again at WokeNFree.com. You mentioned the Navajo Hope Family's COVID-19 Relief Fund. I found that as well. And then also United Natives is a nonprofit focused on supporting Native youth. The organization has also been very active with COVID-19 relief efforts by delivering care packages and co-creating a Native-led intertribal quarantine site for COVID-19 positive Native Americans in Arizona. The site offers physical and mental health services such as individual therapy, yoga for trauma, healing, and plant-based nutrition. So all of these links will be available on WokeNFree.com. We really encourage that if you are listening and you're like, you know what, even if you have $1, like donate $1. If you have food, if you don't have money and you have food, or you're like, I can knit blankets, I can knit sweaters, like, I think we more now than ever, as we get into this holiday season, even more, it's really going to get scary, guys. And we need to come together and we need to find ways to support each other because we don't know what the future holds, but what we do know is what we can do today. And what we can do today is we can open up our hearts, we can open up our wallets, we can open up our pantries, and we can find a way to help each other because that is what being a good human being is all about.
Here we go, yo. So what's the scenario? It's scenario time, guys. Scenario 1. Delbert feels that the U.S. government should not focus on helping Native communities and instead should focus on rebuilding the economy, which should in turn help those same communities. Is he correct in his line of thinking?
What a really sad thought. Yeah, wow.
That's like the Reaganomics. It had that similar trickle-down economics effect. That's it's touching on that.
So, I mean, again, I would have to do further research to understand the economics of how, because again, these are separate independent nations within the United States, right? So they're not benefiting just by existing here, but they have to, there's specific funds that are, I think, sent to them
the U.S.
it's
does
not
give some funding.
Yeah, if Arizona thrives, I don't think that automatically means that the nation, the indigenous people here thrive. I think that has to be a separate it's a separate system that has to.
I don't even know if Arizona gives them money or if it's the federal government.
we'd have to look into on a state level what those relationships look like. So instead of automatically saying we shouldn't support one community, but we should just support all community, which is a similar argument to when people say Black Lives Matter and their automatic response is all lives matter. Yes. Right. But not all lives are at risk every single day. So same here from an economic perspective. All the economy of the United States as a whole matters, yes, but the individual states and the individual nations for these indigenous people, their economies matter as well. So we need to get a better and deeper understanding as an individual, right? The people involved know the process, but you and I as individuals, we don't know that process. So you can't just make that assumption that if my state does well or if my county does well, automatically the natives nearby me should do well. No. Learn and figure that out. And then based on your learnings and your understanding, then make an assessment. I mean, you can always, be ignorant and make assessments, but at the end of the day, the initial reaction of why do we want to help these people to me seems disturbing and it seems very unhuman-like. And so I don't know what type of creature thinks that.
Oh, wow. It's a creature.
Because, well, again, why would you automatically not want to help somebody? You know what I mean? Like, you should want to help somebody. Like, it doesn't matter
But
where
you think
they
there's
are.
going to be after effect from helping other parts of the
because you
country.
believe that there's not enough, right? If you come from a place of desperation and devastation of like, there's only but so much for everyone, then yes, then you can have that kind of creature mentality. But if you know that there's always enough for everyone and everyone can live and survive and thrive, then you know that helping somebody is just a matter of how, not if.
Yeah. So my thinking is that this is a nation of excess. I mean, so I think there's actually enough to go around when you think about it in terms of the U.S. government being able to help the natives and still being able to rebuild the economy. I think you can actually do both because we're in the U.S. We're not in a country that's, in dire needs. Yeah. Like we have a good GDP. So let's
our economy is struggling, but
it's struggling. But even our struggling economy is better than most countries' economies.
We're so
if you
blessed
think
in
about
America.
it,
And
there's a reason why the Black Friday shopping the numbers have gone up. I think even compared to last year, I think it still is on the rise.
Even though all these millions of people are out of work, and
people still find a way, right? When in the country of excess, they're able to do that. So his line of thinking is actually wrong in this case.
Yeah, it's not healthy.
We do actually have the power and the money to do that. The U.S. government, they definitely need to focus on these communities.
Yes.
And they still have enough to focus on the economy as well.
There's enough to help everyone.
That's what I'm thinking. So I think he's wrong in his thinking. Scenario 2. Kiala is worried about the coronavirus impacting small Native American communities more negatively than others. She would like the mainstream media to report on this issue when discussing the infection rates. How can she influence the mainstream media to do as she commands?
Great question. So this is something where we all can play a role in this, where we can directly write to mainstream media outlets. And a lot of mainstream media outlets will ask for like share a tip kind of thing. So if you put together, or if she writes her own article and substantiates it with quotes and actual resources, she herself could be the journalism, like write the journalistic piece that she wants to see out there, and she could actually share it. And also, depending upon what her platform, like the question doesn't, we don't have more context. So I don't know if this person has 100,000 followers on Instagram, on TikTok. So depending upon what her own social media impact is and presence is, she herself can be the media outlet that she's looking to see. Because if she has a blog or if she has a good social media presence and she starts to pipe up about this and start to talk about it, other media outlets might come to her and be like, hey, we'd love to shop your article or share your, and so it's interesting. Like, we all have the ability to be the journalists that we want to see out there, but then also directly contact them and write that article that you want to see out there. Connect with the nations, the indigenous native leaders. Ask for a quote, say you're writing an article, and you want to bring attention to what's going on to their community, get the support that you need on their end, put together a great, compelling piece and spread the word out. And then also invite her network, her friends, her family, people that support her to spread the word and get the article out there as well, and or even pitch media on her behalf as well. But it's a twofold thing. She can do it herself as well as directly kind of submit to the outlets that she's interested in.
Yeah, those are definitely some good suggestions on how to get there. And I'd like to just add on top of that on the social media bit, because what's interesting now is I think when you tag like the journalists or the news reporters, they'll actually respond to you and get back to you.
Absolutely.
So if she continues to tag them, and like you said, create these articles, and have sources in there, I think she would actually get some feedback,
and
make a story out of it.
Absolutely.
I see that all the time where someone writes something on social media and then the news decides to report on it. So I think you just gotta stay just kind of dedicated
and
to
diligent,
and tagging people and letting them know. Like, regardless of how big your platform is, just tag the people that you want to see reporting this news, right? Whoever you're watching each day, just tag them in the post that you make.
And make sure it's compelling and well written and it's interesting and it's, and you be the change you want to see in this world. Because if she does that, it's showing to them, wow, like she's just like a person doing this. Like, shame on us. We're going to do something and we're going to report on this. And, or even if it's through the lens of her sharing her story, the point is the story about the natives get out there because they need as much coverage as possible.
Scenario 3. Jaya's family has genetic ties to various Native American tribes. Currently, she lives 10 minutes from a particular tribe. She is trying to decide if it's better to focus on helping one specific tribe or spreading help among many tribes.
Fascinating question. So, again, there's enough to go around for everyone. The pie is endless and limitless and delicious. 100%, especially if we're talking pumpkin pie. Now we're talking. I would say in her case, it's good for, Jaya's pronoun is her?
Yes.
Okay. So Jaya.
Right, I mentioned she.
Yes. Okay, great. I just want to reaffirm that. Yep. That's important, guys. Proper pronouns. So for Jaya, I would say good for her and being related or having ties to multiple tribes. That's beautiful. That just means she has a more diverse background. Super cool. I would say if she's interested in helping, as long as she, has the resources that she's looking to share, I would say always try to help as many people as you can as opposed to just necessarily going to one. But it depends on her comfortability level. If she feels like more compelled or more motivated to say help the Navajo Nation as opposed to helping 10 nations, then, do you. But at the end of the day, my heart says, we have enough love and compassion and resources. As you said, we all live in a nation of excess. So if you have 10 cans, you could give 10 cans to 10 nations, or you can give 10 cans to one nation. I think getting more across the fields is a better approach to helping more people. So I would say go wide as opposed to go narrow. But what's your thoughts?
All right. In this case, to me, this one's a tough one to me because she lives close to one of the tribes. So, I know it's wrong, but that makes me feel impartial to that tribe to say, hey, maybe I should go in and get them.
Because it's convenient.
Yeah, pretty much. It's 10 minutes away from you. If they have some sort of drive or something, a food drive, you can just go right there and drop stuff off.
Does that preclude you from helping other tribes as well?
It doesn't preclude you, but realistically, it's I'm just don't
think she's gonna go above and beyond, right?
I'm just being realistic. I'm being very
So your step would be 2-step then. First, help the tribe nearby, and then if you do more, then go outside.
Yeah, I would say, there's that tribe nearby. See what you could do locally first, because I don't know, it seems convenient, and it's more likely that you're gonna go and actually do it.
Okay.
Because a lot of times we get lazy and don't want to do something because it's inconvenient. But this one's so convenient, it makes me think. I mean, it's messed up, but you should focus on this one because you can actually go in.
Do it and commit to it.
Yeah, you can really commit to it and you can really put some energy behind it. Okay. As opposed to other ones that you don't really know about it and you might be skeptical. At least this one you get to see in your own eyes and you kind of can get a feeling of what's happening and it's local. So even the local newspapers might be reporting on it. And I don't know. I feel in this case that she should help the specific tribe that's closer, but not preclude the others in her equation. So she can still help out the other ones, but I think the focus should be on the one near her.
I just want people, though, to understand that sometimes doing the good thing isn't always easy.
It's
right?
Not.
When people had to fight in the civil rights movement, it wasn't really easy to get attacked by dogs. It really wasn't easy to get arrested, to get beat up, to get, shunned by your family and friends, right? But people still had to do it. And had they not do it, we would not be where we are as a nation today. So I just want people to remember, though, just because something is the right thing to do, it may not always come in a nice, bubbly, packaged thing for you. And sometimes you do have opportunities where if it's right next door to you, it's super easy. You can actually commit to it. I would just hope that people don't just take the path of least resistance just because it's cool, it's there. But do that and then see the atrocities happening. Because once you see struggle in front of you, you can't forget that, right? You can't unsee that. So then maybe it actually motivate her to be oh, really? Gosh, what if this is happening in 10 other states or 10 other counties? let me do my thing. Like, I don't know.
That's
For
hard
me,
because
when I see struggle, that
makes you
it's
think about
emotionally just devastating.
But when you just think about you want to fix the struggle that you see in front of your eyes,
but I know that
like
this
you can't
is one
even,
of many, though, right?
That seems hard to conceptualize, to be honest.
Oh, really? For me,
if you see something going on that's an atrocity right in front of you, you're going to want to help that atrocity compared to ones that are just kind of like in the mind and talked about and you have no experience.
I know, it's so interesting. Human beings, we have such a really wonderful, sick way of just being like, it's just happening in the ether.
Yeah.
And it's like, we just put it off to this like floating cloud. And it's like, do you know how many people went hungry today? Like,
so you can't, and then again, you can't.
Like, good
It's
God.
not up to the individual to save the world either, because you can spread yourself
That's
thin.
so interesting, though, because if we all think that way, then no one will save the world, right?
No,
but if we all say we'll do our part.
If everybody focused on one group, then a lot of groups would be saved.
What if too many people are focused on one group and not focused on another?
And then that's where it would come down to education and say which ones are being marginalized. So that's the thing. But there is, I know you don't believe it, but you can spread yourself thin.
Of course, you have finite energy. You have finite.
Let's say if you want to tackle every atrocity that's going across the globe, oh, good luck. I mean, and I'm talking about individually, not nationally, because as a nation, we can do that. The U.S. as a nation. No, but I mean,
if you're thinking, you can work hard or you could work smart, right? So what you do is you put together a coalition, right? So it's not just you, but it's you and your 10 neighbors, and then they bring 10 neighbors, right? And you bring a community so that you could each tackle, we'll do this county, we'll do this county, and you can focus.
Because what people usually do in everything I've seen, I've never seen one that's like tackling many issues at once. They usually focus on something. So like the lasagna moms or something were giving people, making lasagnas for people that were hungry. But they weren't trying to say, let's get this shipped across seas because people need that.
Well,
so see how
people in India
that's why I think
lasagna.
That's why I think in particular cases, sometimes
but what
focus
you can
is your best option.
is you create affiliates, right? So if what you're doing is making sense here in the United States, then create an affiliate lasagna moms in India, in this, in that, and you just and you build a coalition. Like I said, you do smarter, not harder. But I understand what you're saying. I don't want people to always, because again, it's like the path of least resistance is not always going to cut it, guys. Like, but
it's still hard.
In this scenario,
don't try to act like it's nothing. It's still worth a whole lot.
I'm not saying that it's not nothing, but what I'm suggesting is that the greatest things in this life require the greatest amount of effort. As you know, marriage. Love, education, career, success, the greatest things you will ever have in your life will require for you to go above and beyond, doing so much that you didn't even know you could do, but you still figure out a way to do it. And human beings have a remarkable way of accomplishing so many great things in this world, and it's not going to be easy, but we can do it together. Now, with that, we hope that everyone is not only feeling amped, but super motivated to do something. I know because every Christmas I like to donate to different causes because that is just a part of what my spirit loves to do. I love to receive and to give back. I definitely look forward to giving to some nations and, efforts that are going to help the Native communities this year, especially with COVID-19 and the holidays. I can't imagine how much worse it's going to be getting in the next upcoming weeks. So we hope that you can do the same, whether it's money, whether it's food, whether it's sweaters, whether it's, what's another item? Something you can name.
To give out? Mm-hmm. PPE.
There we go. Okay. Do you want to explain what that is for people?
Personal protective equipment like masks and face shields, gloves.
Beautiful. Yeah. They need that. Those things cost money.
Yeah, those things. And sometimes they used to be hard to find as well. Exactly. Also, I should mention toilet paper then too.
Yes, what a great mention. There you go. So things like that, guys. If you are one of the people who have hoarded toilet paper in your home, why don't you send a couple of rolls and connect with people who can benefit from this, okay? Now, this pretty much is coming to the end of our 170th episode of Woke and Free. Quite the episode discussing how has COVID-19 impacted the Native American community. Will we leave you hanging for what our next episode will be about? Drum roll, please.
On our next episode, we will be discussing WokeNFree story time. 21 questions about gratitude.
Yes, how exciting.
Nice. Make sure you follow us on social media to follow along in the conversation, and make sure you tune in next week for WokeNFree Wednesday to join the conversation at WokeNFree.com.
If you'd like to be a guest on the show, definitely submit a topic for 2021 on what you want to talk about, what your platform is, why you feel this is just the absolute best place for you to share you, your book, your business, ... all of that good stuff on our Contact Us page at WokeNFree.com. That is WokenFree.com. If you want to hit us up on social media, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Pinterest, TikTok, guys. It's phenomenal at WokeNFree. And then, of course, if you're interested in collaborating with us, want to sponsor episodes, all that good jazz, where do you hit us? The Contact Us page at WokeNFree.com.
If you didn't already subscribe, please do. Share the episode, and make sure you come back to join the conversation every Wednesday for WokeNFree Wednesdays. Remember, WokeNFree is more than a podcast. It is a way of life. Until next time.
Help somebody, y'all.